Exodus 18, verse 1. Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. Now Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, had taken Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her home. Underline verse 2. Underline verse 2. This is marital strife 101. This is, I don't like you anymore, husband. I'm going to go back and live with mom and dad. I know no ladies in here have ever said that or done that, but that's what happened to Moses and his wife. Zipporah's living with her dad again. Verse 3, along with her 2 sons. So Moses has 2 sons and a wife. All 3 of them are now living with dad, Moses' father-in-law. The name of one son was Gershom, for Moses said, I have been a sojourner in a foreign land. And the name of the other was Eleazar, for he said, the God of my father was my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife to Moses in the wilderness, where he was encamped at the mountain of God. And when he had sent word to Moses, saying, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and your 2 sons with her. Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, and he bowed down and he kissed him, and they asked each other of each other's welfare, and they went into the tent. So right now, Israel is a nomadic tribe. They're a nomadic tribe of almost 2 million people. You think you'd like to go camping? This is 2 million people in tents. That's a lot of campers. Moses is living in a tent. His father-in-law shows up with his little 3-person family. Moses goes out to meet him. They go inside Moses' tent to talk about how things are going. Verse 8. Then Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, all the hardship that had come upon them in the way, and how the Lord had delivered them. And Jethro rejoiced for all the good that the Lord had done to Israel, in that he had delivered them out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Jethro said, blessed be the Lord who has delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of Pharaoh, and has delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods, because in this affair they dealt arrogantly with the people. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God, and Aaron came with the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before God. The next day, Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood around Moses from morning to evening. When Moses' father-in-law saw all that he was doing for the people, he said, what is this that you are doing for the people? Why do you sit alone? And all the people stand around you from morning till evening. And Moses said to his father-in-law, because the people come to me to inquire of God. When they have a dispute, they come to me, and I decide between one person and another. And I make them know the statutes of God and his laws. Underline that last part of that sentence. That's Moses' job. I make them know the statutes of God and his laws. Verse 17, Moses' father-in-law said to him, what you are doing is not good. You and the people with you will certainly wear yourselves out, for the thing is too heavy for you. You are not able to do it alone. Now obey my voice. I will give you advice, and God will be with you. You shall represent the people before God and bring their cases to God. And you shall warn them about the statutes and the laws and make them know the way in which they must walk and what they must do. Moreover, look for able men from all the people, men who fear God, who are trustworthy and hate a bribe. And place such men over the people as chief of thousands, of hundreds, of 50s, and of 10s. And let them judge the people at all times. Every great matter they shall bring to you, but any small matter they can decide themselves. So it will be easier for you, and they will bear the burden with you. If you do this, God will direct you, and you will be able to endure. And all this people will also go to their place in peace. So Moses listened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. Moses chose able men out of Israel and made them heads over the people, chiefs of thousands, of hundreds, of 50s, and 10s. And they judged the people at all times. Any small matter they decided themselves. Then Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went away to his own country. How many of you are married in here or have been married? Put your hand in the air. Holy cow. Okay, then this might directly relate to you. Or if you want to get married in the future, this will definitely relate to you. If you will ever get married before you're dead, this will relate to you. If you know someone who might get married, this will also relate to you because you will get to counsel them. Everybody ready? Is everybody ready or no? Okay, hey, that's perfect. Here we go. It's going to get a little bumpy, but it's going to be awesome. Ready? Number 1, Moses gets his helper back. Moses gets his helper back. Moses gets his helper back. For many of us that got married, or if you're thinking about getting married, many of us don't even know why we got married. When we look back on it, we kind of go, why did I get married? Now, don't look at your wife and go, man, just listen to that. Because understand this, marriage in and of itself is a special relationship. It's a special reality. And many of us go into marriage not really knowing what we're supposed to be doing, if anything. We're kind of attracted to somebody and we kind of know, I guess this is the next step or whatever that even means. And we get married and we realize once we get married, we're going, I have no idea what I'm even doing. Now, I'm a wife now, and what does that even mean? I'm a husband now. What even is a husband other than a married guy? Moses, the greatest leader in history, is having trouble even leading his own home. So let's look at it this morning, because this may give you a lot of encouragement or may really depress you. But either way, here we go. After miraculously leaving Egypt and traveling for a month and a half, the nation of Israel stops at Rephidim. While camping there, the Israelites were attacked by a local clan leader called Amalek, who went after the weak and the tired at the back of the Israelite settlement. In this first war, Moses helped the army to victory by holding the staff of God up in his hands, but his arms grew tired, so Aaron and Hur held his hands up. And we see that in Exodus 17, the chapter right before this. And there's a reason I'm referencing this, even though we didn't read it. Moses leads the people of Israel to victory, even though he's getting tired, but 2 people come and hold his hands up so that the blessing of God can continue on the people of Israel. And they have victory. Moses gets help in a war, in a military campaign, in the chapter of the story right before this. So he's not doing it all on his own. He's not some superhero going, waving his wand around going, be this, that, the other thing. He's not a wizard or a warlock. Or a zombie killer or a Nazi killer or whatever. It's not a video game. He's not superhuman, he's just human, and he's being used by God. And even here in his military campaign, his first military campaign, men are there to help him. While at Rephidim, Moses' father-in-law, whose name was Reuel, or also Jethro in this story, brought Moses' wife and sons back to him after he had earlier sent them home on his way to Egypt nearly 6 months earlier. So look at this. Here's a picture of the satellite imagery. I want you to see this, get some reference. Upper left corner, the Nile flows north. That is the fertile plain that was known as Goshen, which was kind of the area that the Israelite slave population stayed in, inside of Egypt. Moses comes and rescues them. They come down south to the tip of the little pointed, where the water comes together at the top point right there, and they cross over. That's where the famous Red Sea crossing is, at the tip right there. The Egyptian army dies, but now look, they're on the right-hand side, totally in the desert, but God takes care of them. We looked at it last week. They're walking south, down the tip of this pointed piece of pizza, and they're heading towards the tip, which down here at the bottom is Mount Sinai, where Moses is going to get the famous 10 Commandments. That's where they're heading. Now, look at the map. They are not quite there yet. So they're in what we believe is Rephidim right down here, very close to Mount Sinai. And we will get there in the next week or two. They will actually get the 10 Commandments, and they'll camp around Mount Sinai for a while. But that's where I think they are right there, is in Rephidim, which is the southern Mount Sinai Peninsula. But watch. Look at this. Look on the right-hand side. On the other side of the Gulf of Aqaba right there. The land of Midian. Everybody see it? That's where Reuel lives. And he is there with his sheep, with his family. Moses ends up there when he flees from Egypt after he killed a guy, which we looked at the very beginning of Exodus. He goes all the way to Midian. finds a wife named Zipporah, who is the daughter of Reuel, or Jethro. And now he is setting out to rescue Egypt because God has called him. Famous burning bush story where God speaks to him out of the burning bush. Moses is a shepherd, but God says, you're going to be my leader. Go back and get all my people. He has to go way over to Goshen. It's way in the left-hand side up there. So he leaves Midian, and just like most men, he leaves with his family. God calls you to go somewhere. If you live in Orange County and God calls you to go to Temecula, usually most men won't leave their family and go live somewhere else. So Moses packs up his family, packs up Zipporah. Zipporah packs up the two boys, and they start going. They leave Midian, and they're heading to Egypt to take the Israelites out. Halfway, guess what happens? They get in a fight. Surprising for a family traveling together that they would get in a fight. This is amazing. Some of you guys think, oh, Moses never fought. Oh, yeah. No, Moses had some family-ish to deal with. He had issues. There was problems on the way. They get halfway to Egypt. Ready? They're camping at night. Moses, because he has not been a good leader of his home up to this point. He's been married for a while. Not a good leader. He hasn't circumcised his sons as to show the physical representation of his sons being part of the family of God, which was the Israelites at that point. He has not done that. He's failed to lead his home. Moses, at this rest stop, God's coming to kill him. God's coming to kill Moses, and he hasn't even gone to Egypt yet. Zipporah, women many times have a sixth sense about how things are going to go down. And so she goes, this is a bad news for my husband because God's going to kill him. She takes a flint rock that they probably chopped up vegetables with, wakes her son up, goes, we need to do something real quick, sweetie. Put this in your mind. She takes a flint rock that they chop up vegetables with, circumcises her son, and he's like a teenager. This isn't like an infant. Mom, what do you want? Wake up, sweetie. Little something has to happen right now. God's going to kill Moses for not leading his home. Zipporah steps in the gap between her husband and God and circumcises her son. Ready? It's going to get worse. She takes the foreskin from her son. If you don't know what circumcision is, ask mom on the way home. Ready? She takes a foreskin, she throws it at Moses' feet. And she goes, you are a bridegroom of blood to me. And they get in this gnarly fight between the two of them. So here you got Moses, one of the greatest leaders in history, can't even lead his own stinking home. His wife's getting all over Moses. Oh, some of you guys know what that's like. Okay. Moses, watch here. Here's the point. Moses goes, get out of here. He tells his wife, just take the kids and go back and live with daddy. I don't want you coming on this trip anymore with me. Like that's how real is that, right? Go back and live with dad. Because I can't stand you around anymore, even though she just saved his life. She takes the boys, heads back to Midian. Imagine Reuel seeing his daughter and two boys, his two grandsons walking back. Sweetie, what are you doing back here? Oh, I just saved Moses' life. He don't even care. Now I'm back here living with you. I knew he was lame the minute I met him. Now watch, ready? This is the backstory. Because here's the point. Here's how real this is. They have, with the plagues and the month-and-a-half journey of Israel down the Sinai Peninsula, they have been separated for about 6 months. A good chunk of time, half a year. Moses, you know what's funny about this story? He never calls for his kids to come back and his wife. At some point, Reuel, Jethro, goes, I think it's about time for you to go back to your husband, sweetie. But, nope. Pack the boys up. We're going. Because Reuel, Jethro, has to send a message ahead to Moses going, I'm bringing your kids and your wife. Just want you to know we're heading to you. So Moses goes, oh, better get some. Jethro takes his daughter, takes the two kids, sends a messenger ahead. Moses, we're coming. I got your whole family. Moses doesn't even call for his family. That's how bad of a fight they got in. And then they show up. Fathers should be their son-in-law's greatest fan, as their daughter by blood has become a wife by covenant. You know, a problem with our society is we are hyper in each other's business, especially with the internet. You can know everything that goes on with everyone else's life. Let me help you. Ready? Fathers, if you have daughters, there must come a point when you are not your daughter's hero anymore. There must come a point where you detach and you support your son-in-law. You must break the I'm my daughter's hero, and now your son-in-law must take your place. And here's the point, is that many times when you get into a fight, daughters nearly always retract back to dad, back to home, with even the kids many times, which is okay for a short amount of time, okay? It can never be that you as dad retake the place of the husband of your daughter. That can never be. That's dysfunctional. And what it does is it trains your daughter and son-in-law to never work stuff out. What you say to your daughter is, sweetie, are you physically in harm's way? Is your husband doing something violent to you where you fear for your life or the life of your kids? No. Okay. You're welcome to come sit down and have a meal with me. And maybe cool off for a day, but you're going to go back and work out your stuff with your husband. This will always be a place you can come and rest, but will never be a place you can come and stay. Now, if your husband is doing something illegal or violent, then you call the thing we call the police officers. And they will come and help your husband in his sanctification. But if your husband is just being a jerk, there must come a point, my dear love, my daughter, where you got to work stuff out with your husband. You got to be the wife you're supposed to be, and he's got to be the husband he's supposed to be. I will always love you as my daughter, but now you've become someone's wife, and that's different. I will always love you, but you must learn to love your husband, and he must learn to love you. And never can you learn to love one another separated for a long period of time. Is separation okay sometimes? Yeah, but it can't be separation of never ending. And I love Jethro. He doesn't even wait for Moses to call for his family. He goes, it's been 6 months. I think we're good. Whatever little issue you had is now over. We need to go handle this business. And I love that Jethro goes, load up the family, we're going. And he meets Moses out in the middle of the desert. Though more powerful than him, Moses humbly honors Jethro by bowing down, kissing him, and inviting him to eat. God honors those who honor others. We live in a society of pride. We live in a society of, I will step on you if I have to get where I want to go. Understand this, friends. If you have to step on other people to get ahead, you're a loser. Watch what God does. God exalts the humble and puts down the prideful. It's amazing how if you are prideful and arrogant and you have to step or backstab people to get where you want to go, understand that God is against you. God will manipulate situations so that your pride and arrogance smashes against your own head. And you kind of go, gosh, this isn't working out. Or people are talking bad about me. Well, the point is that you got to where you are by stepping on people. Watch how this works. In humility, God will plow a way for you. God honors the humble. And you know what? Moses right here, he's one of the most powerful leaders in the world right now. He's leading millions of people almost by himself. And when his father-in-law comes, and this is typical of, even to this day in the Middle East and Near East, ancient Near East in this case, says that Moses, who at this point is amazingly leading these people, Jethro brings the family with him, and Moses, when he sees his father-in-law coming, he leaves to go out to him, and it says he gets down in the dirt and he bows down. He puts his knees in the dust, in the sand of the Sinai Peninsula, and his father-in-law is coming to him. And here is Moses, who God has done the most amazing miracles in history. Moses doesn't go, you need to bow down to me. You're just some stinking little priest over in Midian. You don't even know who I am. If you knew who I was, man, you'd show me some respect. Because that's our society, right? Self-promotion all the way around. But Moses goes down and he gets in the dirt, and it says he bows down before his father-in-law. And when his father-in-law comes near, he gets out of the dust and is even typical of today's Middle East, kisses him on both cheeks, showing there's no anger, there's no violence between the two of us. We can be this close and be at peace. And then it says, the third part is he invites him into his tent to eat. And even by Jesus' time, which was 1,500 years after this story, the Jews still recognize that when we eat together, we are family. Which is why we do communion every week. Because it reminds those of us whose lives Jesus has changed that we're all family. We may be different colors, different sizes, creeds, make different financial deposits every week, or withdrawals, or the bank tells you, you are overdrawn. We are all different, but guess what? Around Christ, we are all the same. We are family. And Moses invites his father-in-law in to eat with him. If you honor other people, God will honor you. If you have to step on people, understand God is against you. If you manipulate and use people, God will orchestrate situations where your pride will be on display. But man, everybody loves a humble person, right? Everybody loves humility. When somebody could say, I'm awesome, but they don't. They say, how can I serve you? Everybody loves humility, but everyone hates pride. But yet that's what most of us struggle with, is how awesome should I make myself? And we live in an era of self-promotion and selfies. We even added a word in the dictionary because of our arrogance about ourselves. And hey, you're a beautiful person. Take a picture of yourself. It's okay. But just realize that God wants us to be humble. God wants us to walk in humility. And Moses, the greatest leader in history, humbles himself before his father-in-law. The last time they were together, Moses and his wife, Zipporah, fought with her husband over his lack of leadership. Now in meeting him again, she's gone from being a shepherd's wife to a prophet, pastor, national leader's wife. So think about it, ladies. When you married your husband, you didn't know what you were getting. Right? So, typical of most people, Julie and I met when I was in college, and I was a total loser. I'm in my young 20s. I had just moved from Minnesota. I'd gone from hell to heaven. I'd gone from Minnesota to San Luis Obispo, California, and it was glorious. And you know what I started doing? I started surfing. I started playing volleyball at Pismo Beach. I started playing indoor volleyball, and I was playing in tournaments, and I was loving life. Problem is I wasn't getting paid. So my amazing wife, who was going to Cal Poly, getting her degree, had a JOB for real. She meets me, and she doesn't know what she's getting. For some reason, she decides to marry me. And I realize after we get married, I gotta be like a man or something. And Julie's like, yeah, that'd be great. That would be really great. I would appreciate that. So I go from beach bum, sand in my hair guy to, I gotta feed other people. Before it was just me and like SpaghettiOs or whatever. Like now I gotta feed other real people. So I go to police academy, graduate 5th in my class, ready to be a real man, get a real job, get really paid to be able to feed my family, at least keep the lights on. God changes. So watch, Julie went from, I'm marrying an unemployed, I don't know if he's ever gonna be a person real in this world, husband, to I now go to the police academy. I graduate from there. God changes my heart. I now go back to school to be pastor and to get a theological education, graduate with a degree in theology, and then I graduated with a master's in Christian studies. And so Julie goes from, I don't know if this guy's ever going to amount to anything, to almost being a cop's wife, to, oh, now I'm a pastor's wife. And I dragged her all over creation as God said, go here, go there, go there. And she's just kind of going, okay, here we go. College educated, ran a bank in San Luis Obispo. But you know what was awesome about her? Is she didn't know what she was getting when she married me. But guess what? She loved Jesus, and she was willing to say, I know God will lead our family if I support you. She wasn't taking a back seat to me. She was just saying, hey, I'm not going to be the one that fights. I'm not going to be the one that tears this family apart because I got my own agenda. She didn't know what she was getting. We could be living under a bridge, eating SpaghettiOs. Here, Caleb. Oh, some. Oh, you're 6'3" here. You can have your own can. And here's a point. Same thing with Zipporah. Guess what? 6 months earlier, guess who she was? Who she thought she was married to? A shepherd. Yeah, so what does your husband do? My husband is a shepherd. And he takes care of, 12 and a half sheep over here by this rock over there. Oh, awesome. What does your husband do? Oh, my husband runs, Boeing or whatever. Okay, so ladies are having conversations. Her husband is a shepherd. Moses goes, famous burning bush story. God goes, I want you to go rescue my people. Moses is like, I'm a shepherd. I can't even speak good. God goes, I don't care, because it's not about you, it's about me. So go. Imagine he comes back to Zipporah, shepherd guy. God wants me to go get these people out of Egypt. So pack the kids up. Imagine Zipporah going, what do you mean we're going to get people out of Egypt? You're a shepherd. Can we just be cool with that? Nope. All the kids on the way to Egypt. On the way, they get in a fight. He sends them back to dad. He goes on his own to Egypt, pulls everybody out. It's been 6 months. Now all of a sudden, they're back together. I love Zipporah because she goes from, I'm cool with being a shepherd's wife, to all of a sudden, she is wife to one of the most powerful men in history. And she falls right into him in that tent going, no matter where we are, even though we fight, we're going to work it out because we're on the same team. Regardless of a husband's job, wives will either be their husband's greatest help or hindrance. Nothing has more influence on a man than his wife. Nothing has more influence on a man than his wife. Nothing has more influence on a man than his wife. Young men, if you're single, choose a wife wisely. Young ladies, if you're single, choose a husband wisely. You will never make a better decision in your life than if you choose with God's heart in mind when you choose a spouse. And I say that especially for young men. I hope she's beautiful. I hope she's awesome. But I hope she loves Jesus. Because of this right here. Nothing has more influence on a man than his wife. Men set the direction of the home, but women set the distance. Your home will only go as far, oftentimes, as the wife allows it to go. There are wives that have torn their whole families out of churches because they've gotten into a fight or gotten into something went wrong in the women's ministry or they didn't get to put out donuts or whatever, and they just go, I hate this place. All the women here are lame. All of them? Every single one? No, but that one lady looked at me weird. You right there in the red. I mean, can we talk about this? Nope. The whole family's good. And you go home and you think, I hate the orchard. Or Rancho. Or Cornerstone. Or just choose a church. So we need to leave. Sweetie, wow, let's just, nope. And you know what? Husbands go, I got enough stuff going on in my life. I'm not going to battle my wife every day or battle about churches. Wherever you want to go is cool. Understand this. Ladies, you are the heart of your home. Men set the structure, but man, women are the heart. And the heart often leads the structure. It's the old adage, men are the head of the home. But guess what? Women are the neck. And wherever And wherever the neck turns the head, it's usually where it goes. That's just a reality. You're in Exodus. Turn to Proverbs, which is the book right after Psalms, right in the middle of your Bible. There's a big book called Psalms, and then the book right after that is Proverbs. Turn to Proverbs 12:4. Underline this. Underline this. This is a goal for both men and women, whether you're married or thinking about getting married. Proverbs 12:4. An excellent wife is the crown of her husband. In other words, his joy. That is his joy. That is his life. That's how he finds his identity. An excellent wife is the crown of her husband, but she who brings shame to him is like cancer in his bones. And I can't tell you enough, ladies, you are the heart of your home. Men will often set the direction for their home, like this is what we're going to be about as a home. But man, ladies can either support the distance. If my wife would have fought me, I can guarantee you I wouldn't be a pastor today. I can guarantee you I wouldn't be here. But because my wife said, you know what, we're a team together, let's move forward together as a team. I'm not going to fight you. I believe God's going to move in our family. God has blessed us because of that. Not because I'm great, just because my wife has been awesome. When she didn't have to be. Okay, we're going to rifle through these. Ready? 18. Proverbs 18. Proverbs 18:22. 18:22. Underline this. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from who? He who finds a wife finds favor from God. And this isn't just finding a person because she's a female. This isn't just finding a wife because she's a female. This is finding a wife who loves God, who has God's mindset in her heart, who wants to be a support to what God is doing in her family. He who finds a wife, man, finds an amazing part of a man's life. Because you start a new home together. You start a new journey together. And why should two people on the same team fight each other all the time? That doesn't even make sense. Moses sent his wife away, but I love the father-in-law who goes, no, you're getting back together. I love you, my daughter, but this isn't going to happen. You got to get back with your husband and build a solid home. Turn to 31:10, Proverbs 31:10. I used to say this as a single guy. This is one of my life verses as a single guy, Proverbs 31:10. An excellent wife, who can find? Oh, as a single guy, I was like, I can't find her. Jesus, help. And then he did. An excellent wife, who can find? She is far more precious than jewels or rubies. And that's the idea that there's nothing more awesome than a woman of God. There's just nothing more awesome. There's nothing more awesome than a woman of God. Moses gets his helper back, and very quickly, number 2, Moses gets his helpers going forward. Moses gets his helper back. Zipporah comes back home. She reconciles with her husband. And they find peace together as husband and wife. And I pray that's true for you today. Even if you're divorced or you're separated. I've been in ministry over 22 years. I have literally spoken to thousands of couples or people who want to be a couple. And separation should last a very short amount of time, just to let the emotions blow through. But then reconciliation and forgiveness is always the idea. I talked to a guy the other day, got divorced. I hated my wife. She hated me. We hated each other. There's a lot of hate going on. And you know what happened? God worked in both. They were dating other people. And God so worked in both of their lives in this kind of thing that I'm talking about that they were drawn back together. And they actually remarried each other. Because here's the thing. It's not going to be better with someone else. It's not going to be better. All you do is get the same problems with a different face. Hey, you're just like my other wife. Yep. Because you're the same guy. You just brought up the same lame stuff in her. It just happens to be somebody else. Hey, as a man, you got to change. Be a man of God. Love your family. Love your wife. Let her feel security in your home. Meet her needs. Be a servant. Don't be prideful and arrogant. Be a man of God. Ladies, be women of God. God can do miracles even after you think your marriage is dead. It's amazing because God gets to the heart. Moses gets helpers going forward. The report of the Israelite exodus had spread around the Near East, and when Jethro heard of it in Midian, he went to meet Moses. After being told about the miracles, Jethro rejoices. Godly people get excited about God's work. Do you get excited when God does something awesome? Like what he's doing here. I can't believe what God is doing here at the Orchard. He's changing people's lives. We are not just growing wide, we're growing deep. Like we are trying to do both at the same time. And to see God do amazing things in people's lives is so exciting for me. It's the reason I get up every day. If you own a restaurant, if you own a business, if you're a landscaper or whatever, guess what? Your job is not your identity. Your identity is in Jesus. So whether the restaurant takes a dive or your landscaping business takes a dive or your finances go through the toilet, it doesn't matter because your identity is not this. Your identity is this. So no matter what happens, you still find peace and joy from God. And watch, if you're humble, you'll be amazed how God plows a way for you for a new restaurant, to work in new landscaping, to get something else going. You'll be amazed. Because God looks out for the humble, but opposes the proud. And Moses was very humble, but he wasn't a good leader of his home. And now finally, he gets reconciled there, and now finally he's going to get help to help lead the nation. Moses is the only judge for over 1 million people. So he counsels him to find men who follow God, are trustworthy, and have integrity. And depending on their ability, place them over certain amounts of people. Not everyone is gifted to lead and do it well, but everyone can follow and do it well. Leadership is not a right, but a gift. So I told this story. When I got here 2.5, 3/4 of a year ago, Michelle, my secretary, it was literally me and her. I remember walking into the office my first day. Hi. Welcome, Pastor. Well, Michelle, what are we going to do? I don't know. You're the leader. So I went into my office, and I sat down at my desk that had nothing, with nothing on the walls. Looked like somebody had stolen everything. I just remember sitting in my chair going, we were like 140 people at that time, in one service. I just remember going, Jesus, I don't even know what to do here. I got a secretary and me. And all of a sudden, God just went crazy and started reaching people in this valley, like really reaching them, changing their lives, changing their marriages, changing their parenting. And then as it started to grow, I'm like, God, I need some help. It's me and a secretary. Jesus, help. And I prayed, I begged God. I said, God, whoever I hire to come be pastors here, they are going to dictate where the future of this church goes. Please don't let me pick a tool. Don't let me pick a jerk. Don't let me pick an egotistical, power-hungry maniac. And you know what? God handpicked every man and woman to be part of this staff. And I can say with total integrity that God has built this staff. The direction we are going and the blessing of God that we are experiencing is directly because the leadership of this church really loves Jesus. It's not a job. It's not a facade. It's real. It's legit. And Moses gets those same helpers. As the nation's massive, his father-in-law says, you need help. And godly men were put over the nation so that Moses wouldn't die of exhaustion. Not even a spirit-empowered, amazingly gifted, wise man of God can do God's work long-term without help from others. Moses had assistants to help with guiding the nation, a wife to help with his home, and associates to help with the people. Great leadership finds great people to create a great future, to glorify their great God. Isn't that awesome? It is so awesome to experience the blessing of God with the people of God. And that's what we're experiencing here at the Orchard. And I hope that you experience that today. And you know what? Listen, I close with this. I know I walked on some sore toes, or at least Jesus did. It wasn't me. Because anytime you talk about family or relationships, it's a sore subject. But here, let me tell you something awesome about God. God can restore your heart. God can restore your relationships. And God can make you into the man or woman that he's called you to be. It's not impossible. But if you're willing, he will make you into that. All you have to say is, God, there's a lot of damage in my life. There's a lot of damage. I'm a relationally damaged person, or I damage other people. Can you fix me so I don't damage others? And can you help me to work on myself from the relational damage I've taken myself? And you'll be amazed how God will start moving in your heart to change who you are for his glory and your benefit.